Greetings to everyone who is watching. My name is Olga and Arce, and our research is entitled Forensic Entomology, Comparison and the Effectiveness of Baits Used in Traps for Adult Fly Collection observed on a highland site, Baguio City, Philippines. So here is the flow of our presentation. I will first introduce ourselves, give an overview of our study, background, objectives, hypothesis, materials, methods, results, as well as our conclusion for the end. So to start, again, I am Olga and Arce, a third-year forensic science student, and my research partner, Ms. Alondra Mayjewel M. Ramos, is a second-year forensic science student. We are studying under the College of Criminal Justice Education and among the Humanities and Social Sciences senior high school pioneers at the University of the Cordilleras. So for a better understanding of the subject matter, here is an overview. So forensic science is a collection of scientific principles and methods that gives way for a scientific-based evidence to be involved in different forensic science subdisciplines and which are integrated in different expertise. So on the other hand, entomology is an area of biology that aims to study the behavior, community, and characteristics of insects, as well as the both harmful and beneficial impacts of insects to humans and their surroundings. So as a combination of both areas, forensic entomology incorporates the scientific study, analysis, and collection of insects and other arthropods to produce scientific-based evidence, which will then serve legal and forensic purposes. So here is a summary of Dr. Nafawan Bunchu, our research advisor study in 2003 in Thailand. So their study is the leading literature from which we derived our study, and we are to test whether or not our results would differ, provided that we have limited resources and in a different setting. So the baits that they have used here are composed of fresh meat and viscera of pork, beef, and fish. The results showed that the pork viscera bait yielded the highest efficiency and beef meat having the lowest. As for the most abundant fly species, they collected are blowflies, which belongs to the Californidae family. So, next is an introduction. So the Philippines is yet to adopt entomological evidence guidelines and protocols regarding this field as an aid in forensic investigations, according to Pidales and Fontanilla in 2018. Furthermore, the Philippines is not quite at par when it comes to establishing forensic science as the most prominent evidence in cases and trial, as stated by Pateg in the same year. So in the study, we tested the sampling effectiveness of fresh viscous baits in attracting various insects in a low temperature environment regarding the abundance of forensically imported flies. So the ability to study entomological samples recovered from crime scenes and integrate such evidence into improving crime scene investigations will unequivocally aid in improving the justice system, which eventually may lead to an increase in public trust, as well as in the processes used for our criminal investigation. So subsequently, this will give rise to true modernization, provide academic and professional opportunities, and support the Philippines justice system. The objectives of this study are: 1, to know which type of bait attracts more adult flies; 2, to identify the most abundant species attracted to the baits. And number 3, to see if the experiment will produce the same result as the one I have presented earlier with Bunchu's study in 2003. So after deriving questions from our objectives, we came up with the following hypothesis. Hypothesis 1, pork viscera will yield the highest effectiveness in attracting more adult flies. Number 2, the most abundant species present is the order Diptera belonging to the Calliphoridae family. And hypothesis number 3, the experiment will not produce the same result as Bunchu and colleagues' study in 2003. Here is our methodology. All of the flies that were attracted, fed onto the bait and entered the trap are already a part of the specimen samples for the population. So for the local, we obtained permission and conducted the study in a vacant lot here in Swallow Village. So for the data gathering tool, we developed a plastic container trap for the data gathering, and which will separate the trap from the bait for accessible collection. We also modified the container lid by adding aluminum screen to pave the way for odor production, and placed entry holes for the adult flies to enter. So here is an actual picture. Okay, so we performed weekly sampling in 4 replications, and each of the baits in separate traps were renewed every week, starting May until June. So we have reduced the baits from Bunchu and colleagues study in 2003 and only used fresh biscuits of beef, chicken, fish, and pork. So for the treatment, before the experimentation, we froze the baits for 24 hours to ensure their freshness is sustained and slow down the microorganisms' growth, which will control the spoilage and contamination of the samples. Then we allotted an hour to defrost it before placing it in the plastic container traps. For the setup, to create a more systematic way of data gathering, each of the baits is placed alphabetically and in a clockwise manner following the 4 cardinal points: north, east, south, west, and approximately 2 meters away from one another. So in north, starting from alphabetically arranged, beef is north, and chicken will be in the east, in the south, the fish and pork in the west. So here are the tools that we used for the data gathering and treatment. And we identified the adult flies according to their family level only, using the keys by Marshall and colleagues in 2017 and Kurahashi and Magpayo in 2000. So next are the results. The results indicated that in terms of the number of collected flies according to their family, the most abundant fly species are blowflies, which belong to the Calliphoridae family, with a total number of 1,552 out of 1,698 samples collected, and the least being the only flesh fly belonging to the Sarcophagidae family, which are the flesh flies. As for the baits, the one which yielded the highest efficiency is the beef viscera, with a total sample of 993 out of 1,698 samples. And the least efficient bait, according to the results of our study, is the pork viscera, with a total sample of 119 out of 1,698 samples collected. our study did not um, produce the exact hypothesis that we have formulated, but for the results, we have beef viscera, which yielded the highest effectiveness in attracting more adult flies. And for two, the most abundant species present on the chosen experimenting period belongs to the California grape family, which are the blowflies in the order Diptera, which are flies. And third, the experiment did not produce the same result as Bonshu and colleagues have studied in 2003. So, so thank you for listening.